So the Emmy nominations are in. I've been going over them a little bit. I don't really care that much about award shows. You know, the Golden Globes, the Emmys, the Academy Awards. They're a little hoity-toity. It's all a big popularity circle jerk. Sometimes they accurately reflect the quality of shows and movies and so forth. Sometimes it's just bullshit. It's a short memory at work. It's rewarding the thing that's popular over the thing that's good. There's constantly snubs that piss people off, and this year there's quite a few that piss me off. I want to go over it a little bit. In my recollection, I cared about these things more when I was young. I remember being really excited when Braveheart won Best Picture because I loved that movie so much. And I remember really loving it when, at the Academy Awards one year, Elliott Smith came out and played Miss Misery from the Good Will Hunting soundtrack. And compared to all these big productions, these big musical productions, he just walked out there by himself playing a guitar, and it was such a cool, raw, real moment, that glitzy bullshit. Anyways, so we'll just go through. There's a series scorecard here. Obviously, Succession. Nobody's surprised that Succession is the clear nominations winner with 27 nominations, breaking all kinds of records. Multiple leads getting Best Actor nominations. No question that this show is going to take home a lot of these 27. And so in that regard, I'm on board. Succession was fantastic. It bucked a lot of modern trends in that it didn't try to force any diversity. It didn't try to have like girl boss characters. The girls were just as shitty as the boys in this one. A tale of family drama, big business, wealth, all the sort of emptiness that comes with material gain, and just a wonderful show. Super well written, filmed. The music was great. The last season, the final season, fourth season was so good. Especially, I mean, it's hard to even know what I would rank as the best part of that season, but I think what stuck with me the most was probably the funeral episode. Some of the speeches there were just phenomenal, but the whole thing, really, just a tremendous show. But then the next two are also HBO. The Last of Us and The White Lotus each took 24 nominations. The White Lotus was and is just one of the best shows on TV, I think. It's an anthological show, so each season is a different cast of characters, a different location, a different story. Season 2 was remarkable. I loved season 1, and I didn't know how they were going to possibly even come close to season 1's greatness in season 2, but I think it actually ended up being a deeper, more complex and surprising season than season 1. 24 is still shockingly high, no matter how good this was, but I'll allow it. I'll allow it because it was and is a unique, one-of-a-kind show that's super well written, complicated characters. It was great. But the other show from HBO that got 24 nominations is The Last of Us. I liked The Last of Us. It had a couple really good episodes. It had strong performances from its lead cast, but it was not a great show. It's not as good as the video game. It had a few really strong episodes, but it also had a few real duds. Overall, I would say it's just an okay show. Pretty good as far as the zombie apocalypse shows go. And I do think that it had at least one really great episode, but overall, I would see this more as of just getting a handful of nominations. I don't know how on earth you would give it 24. It is worse than most of the shows on this list that we're going to go through. Not that it's bad. Again, it's a perfectly capable show. It's not that. It's not a 24. It's honestly, I don't even know how it possibly could get this many. So that's crazy. What's even crazier is season 3 of Ted Lasso getting 21 nominations for the Emmys this year. Ted Lasso ran its course after season 1. It had some good moments in season 2, but it should have probably been wrapped up in 2 seasons. season 3 is exhausting. I have not finished it, but I got through a little bit, and after a few episodes, I was just like, okay, I have seen enough Ted Lasso for a lifetime. This is just bad. It's repetitive. It tries to take on way too many stories. The characters, like, what was charming about the first season and to a lesser degree the second season was the sincerity and the almost cheesiness of Ted Lasso and how he affected all these people's lives for the better. But by season 3, it's just exhausting. 21 nominations. If there's any better sign of the vapidness and bullshit of the Emmys, it is Ted Lasso getting 21 nominations. Down the list, I'm going to skip shows that I don't really follow, but The Bear got 13. Great show. 13 sounds about right to me. Beef, 13 sounds about right to me. These are both really well acted, well written shows that deal with real people in crazy circumstances. The Bear, is a show about a restaurant and the people that run it, and it's chaotic, it's crazy, it's a lot of fun. It can be very funny at times, very emotional. Beef, same thing. This is a show largely about Asian Americans, but the race is kind of not even important to the show. It just happens to be about Asian Americans. It's got Steve Yeun from The Walking Dead, and he's just remarkable. His acting in this show is so strong. It makes me so happy that he was killed off from The Walking Dead so that he could go on and do amazing work like this. It is somewhat of an unpleasant show. But I loved it, and I think 13 sounds about right. Both those shows, good shows. 13 sounds about right. Honestly, I'd probably put The White Lotus around 13, and I'd probably put The Last of Us around 4 or 5. These are wildly inflated numbers. Because I mean, White Lotus, Beef, The Bear, those are all just really good shows, give or take. I mean, I don't know. I'd have to pour over at all if I was actually making this call. This is all on the fly. Wednesday got 12. Netflix's Wednesday got 12. Now, I know the Wednesday, that was a popular show, one of Netflix's biggest hits, but it was not a particularly good show. It was just fine. Kind of dumb. Jenna Ortega was fantastic as Wednesday, but other than that, predictable story, kind of whatever. It was fine. Perfectly fine. Couple nominations, fine. 12? That's one more than Barry. Barry's final season was... I've watched it twice now. It was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. It has fewer nominations than The Last of Us, than Wednesday, than Ted Lasso. I mean, I'm sorry, Barry's one of my top shows of all time. Watching it a second time through solidified that for me. It is so unique. It is filmed in such a unique way also. It eschews all modern tendencies of filmmaking. In the fourth season, you'll almost have a surreal horror vibe throughout the show. Other things I love about Barry, beyond the acting and writing and the direction, is the lack of... There's almost no music in that show. It's such an interesting approach. In one episode, in a prison scene in season 4, a song comes on, and I was watching with my kids, actually, and my daughter says, whoa, they never play music in this show. And I thought, yeah, you're right, they never do. Earlier in the show, there's a motorcycle chase scene, and there's no music. It is just the sound of the engines. And it's so cool. This show just does so many unique things like that, and it messes with your expectations. You don't really know where it's going half the time. It's just fantastic. It deserved more than 11, and certainly not fewer than Wednesday, which also beat out only Murders in the Building, which is another one of those shows that's just so creative and funny and great, and I love the cast. Somehow Selena Gomez was not nominated for anything, which I'm sure is going to piss off a lot of people. She has kind of a big fan group. Moving down the list, The Mandalorian, 9 nominations, which is one more than Andor, which got 8. Andor was better by far than The Mandalorian. It was better than The Last of Us. Certainly better than Ted Lasso, only 8. The House of the Dragon also got 8. Also, I think, better than The Last of Us. Paddy Considine, who played King Viserys, was snubbed completely. Emma Darcy snubbed completely, despite very strong performances. Matt Smith snubbed completely. House of the Dragon was basically given the shaft, just shanked to death in a red wedding type scenario by HBO, which clearly wanted Last of Us to win all the prizes. But House of the Dragon was better. Andor was better than anything Star Wars since the original trilogy, and Diego Luna snubbed, which is just crazy. Moving down the list, we get the Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power got 6. That's only 2 fewer than Andor or House of the Dragon, despite being one of the worst shows ever made. Stranger Things got 6. I'm not surprised there. That sounds about right. It was not a very... Like, there were some great things in season 4, but that show is just... It ran its... Honestly, Stranger Things should have been a 1-season show. Everything else, like there's been good stuff in Stranger Things since season 1, but season 1 was the show. Like, that was it. After that, it's all just whatever. I wish that they had done something different, like an anthology series with different characters or something. Because season 1 was great, but everything else, it feels so redundant and repetitive. And season 4, by the end, I was just like, are you guys kidding me with this? But 6, whatever, fair. Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power shouldn't have had. I mean, maybe just 1 or 2 for effects and costumes or something. The costumes weren't very good. I don't know. Obi-Wan Kenobi got 5. It got a nomination for Outstanding Limited or Anthology Series. You're kidding me? It was so bad. Oh my god. Other snubs include Harrison Ford, who was not nominated for 1923, or Shrinking. Okay, I guess. Elle Fanning and Nicholas Hoult both snubbed for The Great, despite that being a great show. Very funny show, and both of them are fantastic in it. There was other snubs. Reservation Dogs, which is a show about some teenage Native American kids. It's produced, written, directed, created, acted by Native Americans, and somehow, for all the talk of diversity in Hollywood and stuff, they just totally snubbed one of the funniest, most clever, unique, emotionally poignant shows on TV, which is just fucking, it's crazy. It's crazy to me. It's such a horrible snub. Better Call Saul only got 7 nominations. 7. Despite being, for the most part, a terrific final season. Jonathan Banks and Giancarlo Esposito were both snubbed for their roles as Mike and Gus. So those 2 actors will never get an Emmy for their roles in either Better Call Saul or Breaking Bad. And if that doesn't piss you off, I don't know what will. They were both so terrific. So that's it. Let's see. Is there any more? Is there any more snubs I should mention here? Yeah, that's pretty much it. No Yellowstone, pretty much nothing Taylor Sheridan. That's all. So, the Emmys are a joke. They are not a reflection of quality. They are a popularity contest. And while sometimes they get it right, as you can see, for the most part, they get it very wrong. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and peace.